is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 197. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him... He's sitting here on a Sunday, Austin, Texas, less than a month till opening day. Plenty to discuss here on today's episode, but I'll ask you, as I always do, how you feeling, my friend?
We had a great night last night. My arm's a little sore. I'm spanking you in darts. A lot of celebrations, too. I think I got something going on in my rotator cuff just from fist pumping consistently after winning all the games last night.
Whoa. Not all the games.
Well, we played a set, man. We played best of three. You wanted to change it up, so
okay.
Come on.
Okay. 2-1.
I'm good, man. I'm looking forward to this episode. I think we got a lot of things that we want to touch on. That was like stuff we couldn't talk about on the live stream just because we were just drooling over Azuni for so long and got into a deep Kolmanič discussion there. But a lot of fun things to talk about today. Like you said, less than a month away from being back at Soccer Church. I cannot wait to go worship. So ready to roll, man.
Yeah, man. And, we can go ahead and get into today's episode because we don't need to sit here and, recount the FIFA records from this month if we're going to start talking about darts scoreboards. But we do have the thing I'm most excited about here today. We've got, like I said, a lot to talk about, but we've got CJ Fodrey in the North End here today. So we will talk to CJ a little bit later in the episode, but want to clean up some of these news items here first. And before we jump into today's episode of the North End Podcast, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show, you can actually support us financially by downloading the audio version of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple Music, Spotify, what have you. All of those apps have a toggle on switch for auto downloads. If you turn on auto downloads for the North End, you can support the show going forward. You don't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile and rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And then, of course, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, subscribing to the channel also helps us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So, you mentioned the two live streams that we had this past week. Green Smoke Emergency live stream. Shout out to everybody once again who came in and joined in on the fun while we were live. Or if you caught it on the replay, right? We run those in the middle of the work days usually. So shout out to everybody who tuned into those. I guess just a little bit of wrap up on that. If you missed those live streams, you can find them, of course, on our YouTube channel or in your podcast feed. Those would be the last two episodes that popped up talking about Mirtu Uzuni and Basard Sabovic. One thing I thought was cool, and maybe just on a personal note, I guess, but like with the Uzuni stream, we get a couple comments after we cut the stream off that pop in like from Spanish fans, like, the Albanians found us. Like there is an Albanian comment there, with flags and everything, saying Mirtu go fly like an eagle or something like that. Yeah. And so I know, I think when we've had international signings in the past, I've seen some fans of those players or clubs where our new international players were coming from. I think I've seen them show up in certainly, club press conferences that are streamed, or even like We Are Austin TV, right, with their the broad reach that they have. But I think this was the first time we've had international fans of some of our incoming players show up in our comment section. So I thought that was pretty cool when I saw those pop up.
No, that is super cool. North End worldwide, baby. Usually if you hear the Albanians found us, it sounds like a really bad thing. But in this situation, we're going to go ahead and take it.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about as we went through, I don't know, everything's blending together. I know I said that last week too. I think it was the Uzuni stream, but one of those streams this week with either Uzuni or Sabovic, I was thinking about me reading through, trying to pronounce all the teams. I think it was Uzuni that he had played for. No, it was Sabovic. And wondering where the foreign, like North End podcast equivalent is. I want to hear that ZG trying to pronounce like American city names. I imagine like Pittsburgh or like, I don't know. Just thinking about Texas names like Waxahachie, like somebody from halfway across the globe trying to pronounce that in English. Like I would love to see somebody struggling with stuff like that, like I do, just so I could feel like somebody was in my corner there. So I mean, jokes aside, now we're playing the waiting game until those two guys arrive. And I think for me, the only way I'm really worried about the start of the season and their fitness and availability is if we don't get them at least some minutes against Nashville on February 15th, the final tune-up, which will be closed to the public at Q2 Stadium. Because, like, again, it's such a long season and a long process that this team is about to go through here in 2025. If Azuni and or Savovic aren't ready to go on opening day, will I be disappointed? Yes. But, like, as long as they can come off the bench and contribute some in that game, we see them see the field on the 22nd, then I'll be feeling, I think, just fine. Obviously, ideal world, we're getting 90 minutes on opening day from both guys. But what are your thoughts here in terms of when do you think those guys will arrive?
I don't really know. I'm not pressed about it. I think that this has been late. The groundwork has been laid, and these guys are going to be shifted in here pretty seamlessly. Obviously, there's a lot going on in regard to, getting over here, what paperwork needs to be done and everything like that. But I don't think that this is a situation we're looking at where it's like there's going to be a huge wait. We might not see them on opening day. I don't want to put an exact date on it, but I will just say I am not stressed about it at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's fair. Another one of our new guys is here. We got Nico Dubersarski. The reports early this past week were that he would arrive on Thursday, and then I think it was Saturday morning, maybe Friday afternoon, when we got him posting pics on his Instagram story. Look at that Dubersarski in the domain right there, man. Like it's like a rite of passage for new Austin FC players, I feel like, to go post pics. I made it. I'm in the domain.
Look, man, when I got down here, got recruited to come to play St. Edwards, you guys took me to Dirty. So I think that is actually the best selling point you can have. You get the recruits down here to Dirty 6, let them run wild. But the domain seems a little bit safer up there. But looking good, looking fresh, happy to be here, excited. I'm excited for this kid, man. We got a good comment the other day in the live stream about, forgetting about Bukhari. And I was like, yeah, dude, of course, we've lost so many guys in the sauce. Like we're getting a full season out of Dessler. We're getting a full season out of Svatok. We're getting a full season out of Buka. So there's a lot going on here. And I don't want to get, that lost here where it's like, there's all kinds of other players that we have brought in over this course of this rebuild who I'm incredibly excited about, and getting these new names here and everything is just a bit of a cherry on top. So to the other boys, we have not forgotten you. I am very, very excited about you, all those guys having a full season here in Austin and what this team is going to look like.
So I would think with Nico that he probably joins the team this week in training since he's here. Like maybe it's just the non-contact stuff, right, for this week. But I think there's a non-zero chance he could see minutes against Louisville this coming Saturday at Q2. And if he doesn't, then Coachella for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Again, not pressed about any of these guys. I think we did the hard work early, and they're going to be here on time, ready to roll.
So we did get into this a little bit on the Azuni live stream on Friday afternoon about how many new players, right, do we expect to still be on the way? And for me, I think minimum 2, because I think, as I said on Friday, I do think we fill out the senior roster. We can discuss getting somebody, again, we can discuss the supplemental roster, but I think 1 MLS vet for the supplemental and at least 1 more senior slot. And what I keep coming back to is this clip from Roto, right? Like when I think about any of these questions in my head, I also hear this voice.
Hey, well, you want to know, eh? You want to know.
Yeah, Yes, I do want to know, Roto. So I guess, what do you think? Any additional thoughts that you wanted to add in terms of that from our discussion on Friday?
No, I think I went on record as 2 more guys I expected to come in here. I expect one of them absolutely to be an MLS veteran, because, this is not necessarily the time to get overly cute in regard to potentially getting another U22 who's more of a development project. We're in win now mode. You know what I mean? This is a win now team. I think that this roster needs another veteran presence who's going to be able to fill in when we have inevitable injuries, when we have inevitable guys leaving for international duty, when we have 3 games in 8 days or whatever they were doing last year. I think we need one of those guys who can come in here and be solid. And because we're a win now team, I think my priority is an MLS veteran who can move around a little bit, gives us some more rotational depth. So I'm going to say 2 people, and I'm also on board with your Kolmanič move.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that we can't do both, right? We got 5 supplemental slots, so like that's where an Irvin Torres homegrown deal would go, and that's where your senior minimum salary guy would go, your MLS vet. So it could be any number of players. Well, I guess not any number. We only have 6 total slots left overall. But let's talk a little bit more about Žan Kolmanič, right? We did the chat kind of steered the ship right into the Kolmanič conversation on Friday, and of course happy to oblige, because I think it was a very productive conversation in trying to get this idea out there that Žan Kolmanič could potentially be on the supplemental roster this coming season. So I do just want to reiterate how that can be done, but first taking a look at the press release, right? So Kolmanič gets an additional guaranteed season through additional guaranteed year on his contract through the end of the 2026 season. Now his option year is out there in 2027. So Kolmanič himself says in the press release, this is the second time I have extended my contract here within the last year. And I think that shows how eager I am to be part of what we are building here. I think that's a nice little hint. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a tell. You know what I mean? Because he's like, I want to be here. I think they presented some situation to him where it's like he also knows we could have shipped him out after this first extension, put him on loan or made a move for him and everything like that. But I think him saying that I am excited and eager to be here is a bit of a tell, because you're not like, you don't extend a dude and then extend him again. You know what I mean? Right. Like nothing has transpired.
Without something changing, right?
Yes, exactly. Nothing has transpired here. So like there's just a lot of smoke around this right now. And I think that the most logical, probable outcome is the one that you've outlined.
And so like, again, to explain what we're talking about here, if you're caught up on all your North End episodes, you know I am hot on the trail of getting one of these senior slot guys down to the supplemental. And how you can do that is with general allocation money. You are allowed to apply GAM to a player's salary budget charge to take it down to the lesser of $150,000 or 50% of that player's salary cap hit. So the senior minimum salary this coming season is $104,000, meaning that any senior roster player making $208,000 or less, we think, should be able to be moved down or bought down rather to the supplemental roster. So we've talked about the potential for Guilherme Biru or Brendan Heinzike if they didn't get the very deserved pay increases. Both guys were right there at $200K. We also speculated that Diego Rubio with his new contract extension could have taken that severe of a pay cut. That would have been like chopping his salary in half. But I think Kolmanič makes a lot more sense to me than Rubio, especially with this additional extension that we just did under a year from the previous one. Because also another thing that we didn't talk about on Friday here, and I don't want to make this a long discussion because we spent 15 or so minutes on it on Friday. It also makes sense if you factor in the salaries for comparable players at his position or other players that Roto has brought in. Like, is it so far, I know you agree with me here, but is it so far-fetched that Žan Kolmanič would be making less than the guy who starts over him, Guilherme Biru, who was on $200K last year? Like, it doesn't make sense to me that we would continue to be paying Žan more than Biru. Now, Biru could and probably does have a raise in his contract year over year, but like even extending that out, the center backs that are playing next to both Biru and Kolmanič, Heinzike was on $200K. Svatak was on $300, right? And we have Kolmanič right now in the cap sheets at the northendpodcast.com with a placeholder salary cap hit of $350K because that was his salary last year, where he hit the cap at just $200K because he was a U22. Now that he is no longer a U22 player, he is not, like, he was bound by the U22 contract to the senior roster last year. So you pointing out his comment in the press release about him being excited and committed to the project, that fits in with what these other guys are saying about Roto has sold me on this vision. And so, again, we probably have to wait until salary cap Christmas, or maybe we see something happen in terms of the roster profiles being released by the league. Or maybe we'll just see it on the club's website before then. But again, I do think that's what's happening here, because it just doesn't make sense to me for all the reasons we outlined on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, once he comes off that U22 designation, he loses his advantageous roster designation for this team. So I think, not only we've talked about like the savvy moves Roto has made, that this front office has made. If Kolmanič is looking at this from a long-term standpoint, right, and understanding that coming off that U22 designation makes him less appealing to our team, because now he's coming over that cap hit that the U22 guys have, right? Yeah. So like with the injuries that piled up last year, how difficult and challenging of a season that he had, and those things are completely out of his control. So like to be able to recognize that and understand that, like, hey, I could be on the move, but I really like it here and I want to be a part of this, as he mentioned, that I'm eager to be here for an extended period of time. I think that could be a wise move by him as well, to work with Roto, to work with his staff, to get him into that supplemental slot and have him be able to get time for this team and continue to develop.
Yeah, we still have here on the roster page on the club site, he's still listed as a U22 and with the season-ending injury designation, which that was from 2023. So this is clearly not up to date here on the club site. And they do not say on the press release, usually, especially with a new player, right? We get the pronunciation, we get their height and weight, and then we get their roster designations. And here it just says that the club agreed to the extension. He signs with the additional guaranteed year with an option. It does not say he's going from senior to supplemental. So again, we are just continuing to play the hypothesis game here, the guessing game, and ultimately the waiting game until we get the concrete answer on this.
We'll get it. It's coming.
So before we move on, just want to remind you all to sign up at Underdog Fantasy.
The MLS season is almost here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog.
Underdog Fantasy promo code NORTHEND, and of course use the link in the description of our YouTube video to get over there to Underdog, sign up. You will get the up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started with that link and promo code NORTHEND. So let's move on. Let's talk here, as I will note, you and I have been having a lot of fun on Underdog. Not just like fun playing it, but like fun with the results over the last month or so, and looking forward to the MLS season to dive into some of those picks. Because, hey, look, we did, we played, we made picks on some of the sports books last year for MLS, and now being able to do that on Underdog is going to be a ton of fun this season.
Look, I was going to try to throw it in there. I didn't want to, do any sort of flexing or anything like that.
No, we can flex. Come on.
Yeah, we have had a very fun time playing Underdog here, and I'm excited to get some people to potentially look at some MLS picks that we make, because we're going to be putting jelly beans on them. We got plenty of jelly beans.
So let's talk about these preseason matches. And actually, I guess before we get into that, we had the mystery trialist, right, that we were talking about coming back from open training last week, where we got the crumbs, I think, on that Saturday, so a little over a week ago. And I think it was Sunday night we got tipped off from our buddy Hernan over there at We Austin TV. So shout out to H for helping us out here with the crumbs. But we have our mystery trialist, and that man is named Elton Chifamba, which, by the way, I would love to have Chifamba around, because that is a very fun name to say.
Name.
Played at Syracuse for 3 seasons and then 1 year at Clemson. Won the national title played 1 year at Syracuse, after 3 seasons at Clemson. He won the national title at Clemson in 2021, as you can see on his Instagram post right here. And then from what I read about his transfer over to Syracuse, fell out of favor with a new coach at Clemson. So he went ahead and transferred this past season. 2 caps for the U16 U.S. Youth National Team back in 2019. And just the more we have thought about it here this week, the more I think I may have been, shocker, me thinking I'm right, but like I think Chifamba, again, still profiles to me as the Alonso Ramirez replacement for FCito, especially after we got the news that we did from Austin FC2 this week, which we'll talk about on Last Business Day here in a little bit. But Elton Chifamba, our mystery trialist.
Yeah, and before we knew anything about him and we saw him at open practice, my first takeaway was, looks like he belongs. It doesn't look like he's in over his head. He's doing his job. So, like, I welcome him if he's going to be, we're going to finalize and all this. But shout out to H for the hard work. I know you were searching for hours for this dude.
Yeah, dude. We had our global team, just in action, scraping the internet for all kinds of clues. And then, H just comes in there with a little assist. And that's another reason why you love the Austin FC fan base, because we get started on the crumbs a couple years ago, and now we just got the entire sicko fan base here looking for the crumbs day in, day out during the preseason. So we did get the 2 preseason matches this week out there in Florida, which I will say looked like it backfired a little bit, because like you go out to Florida in the preseason to get away from potential cold, get out there in the sun. So not only was it cold, these guys training in thick jackets and such, raining during the first preseason match as well. Looked like it was a little bit better out there on Friday, but still a little bit chilly. Took on the Revolution on Tuesday. That ended up being a 1-0 loss, and I've got the lineups right here from our buddy Tim Thompson, the stat man. So shout out to Tim for compiling these lineups from both the open training scrimmage, or I should say all 3 of the open training scrimmage, the preseason match against New England, and then the preseason match against Charleston. So I was actually discussing with Tim and our buddy Profe this morning that I think that all of these have been 4-4-2s. Tim aligned them in 4-3-3s here where he felt appropriate. But again, the important thing is we know who was out there. So in the first half, and again, these are very much mixed squads here, in the first 2 of 7 preseason matches here in 2025. First half against New England was Stuver in net with a backline of Kolmanič, Cascante, Brendan Heinzeich, and Mikkel Dessler. Then Irvin Torres, Ilie Sanchez, Micah Burton, Jimmy Farkalin, Osman Bukhari, and Diego Rubio. That was the first half 11 there, who did concede. And then in the second half, and I should note once again, these were 35-minute halves in this first match. Second half, Steph Cleveland in net, backline of Biru, Svatak, Vaisanen, and Riley Thomas. Then Owen Wolf, Danny Pereira, Elton Chifamba, Pat Krzyzewski, CJ Fodrey, and Hodder O'Brien. So they take the 1-0 loss there to New England in the 70-minute preseason scrimmage there. And we did get a picture of Danny and his old buddy, our old buddy, Maxi Arruti, hanging out after that match. So I guess that kind of like made me think of this, Ian. And I use any excuse I can to play it. So those guys reunite. And also Mate con Vos too, with Seba gone completely out the window now. So now I guess we need 3 Spaniards, and it's I don't know. We need some new Mate con Vos here.
That was sad to see.
Yeah, man. We got to have something new, right? We don't have to revive that, but the vibes were never higher than Mate con Vos in 2022.
No, not even close.
So then we take on Charleston on Friday, of course, the USL side here. And we actually did not have any updates from the club before or during the match in terms of the lineups or the highlights from this one. But we were able to, first from what Charleston was posting, and then what the club posted after the fact. And I think some of that was probably like us giving some of our media and comms folks that are out there with the team a little bit of a break, because the teams were wearing training tops for this one. And that's another good point to like remember, that especially these matches here this early in the preseason are not that serious because, no numbers on our guys there are not at least visible from where any of the media team would be watching this one. But we know that Austin wins 3-0. Brandon Vasquez with a brace in the first half. And then John Gallagher scores on look like kind of a deflected ball, offensive rebound type of situation, pokes it past the keeper there in the second half. Lineups in the first half: Stuver Annette, Biru, Heinzike Svatok, and Riley Thomas. Then Wolf, Burton, Chifamba, Jimmy, BV, and Bukhari. And I will say, so BV's first goal was from the spot. So somebody drew a PK. I don't think we got any information on that. Second goal, the club puts out after the fact, and great pass, great find from Osman Bukhari to Brandon Vasquez, who pops it home off the volley with his foot. Like, what, we've never had a striker that, Danny Hosen did it like once. Like, to see the two DPs that we do have out there, or that we had out there in Florida this past week, connecting like that, even against Charleston, was very encouraging. And then second half, Damian Loss in net, so Steph Cleveland gets the day off. Backline of Kolmanič, Väisänen, Cascante, and Dessler. Then Gallagher, Danny, Irvin Torres, Hodder Obrian, CJ Fodrey, and Diego Rubio. So, again, I think the most important thing to remember about preseason is you cannot read too much into it. Like, go back and look at the results last year, and in particular, the goals that Austin scored, the total number. Like, we scored a lot in the preseason last year, and it was the complete opposite. And I like the shining preseason example going to American football here is the year that the Detroit Lions went 0-16. They were 4-0 in the preseason, right? Yeah. So, like, preseason, these teams are working things out. They're changing formations. They've got mixed squads. None of these 11s will we ever, if we see these 11s during the regular season, we're in trouble. So, like, again, you want to just see staying healthy. Yeah. And again, you would rather win these games than lose them. But win or lose, we should not read too much into them. We shouldn't. If we win the rest of these games 3-0 like we just did against Charleston, will I let myself get a little bit more excited? Of course. Should we? No.
Stay healthy. The only thing I'm really taking away from it is that CJ's up top. Like we said, I think we're seeing that 4-4-2. You're going to see it consistently here. So I like that we're trying to work some things out. We're experimenting with the lineups. You got to get these guys even more familiar with one another than you can when you're not actually in the heat of quote unquote battle in a preseason game and everything like that. So stay healthy, boys. And let's keep experimenting, learning more things about this team before these games really start to count.
No question. So back in action preseason-wise this coming Saturday, I believe February 1st, will be against Louisville at Q2. Yeah, flying, man. February next weekend. And again, that's where I think if Damian's going out on loan, I think that's when we know.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense.
So late this week, we have, of course, we already have a kit leak. Like, we know what it's generally going to look like. But we got another look here. So apparently this is, and here's the picture. There's a couple other angles from this Instagram story. Apparently this is some sort of Instagram food influencer here in Austin, Coco. I forget her real name, but that's what she goes by on her Instagram. I have heard some things about this influencer that are a little bit sketchy or douchey, but I don't really care. Whatever. Mm-hmm. This leaks here. You see again, looks very like watermelon-ish to me. Yeah. You see Siete is the sleeve sponsor there. I have heard some murmurs that, because that's white there, right, on the green and black kit. I don't know if I like that. I've heard murmurs that it is actually black on the real kit. So I don't know why this wouldn't be the real kit or why it would be different, what have you. Maybe it's a women's cut. Maybe it's a difference between authentic and replica. I don't know. But further confirmation that this is what we're getting here this season and, of course, for next. And again, like, taking the context away of how, like, silly it is, the ways that these kits continue to leak, whether it's like FIFA putting them in the game last year before they were supposed to be released, or a food Instagrammer who posts and probably violates an NDA here. Like, I also heard murmurs that this was for a shoot for like the league and or Fanatics and not Austin FC's like kit release materials. But again, either way, you probably violated an NDA here. So we probably don't see Coco doing any sort of MLS stuff or Austin FC stuff in the future.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this person as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. She posted some pretty disparaging things about people who ride bikes and people riding bikes in Austin. And that, that hit me right in the core here. So I am not a fan. I'm not pleased that she somehow got to leak this, but it is what it is. I don't like the V cut too much. I don't know if that's going to be the women's cut or it's going to be the men's cut all around or anything. I'm not a fan of the V cut, but it looks better than what that crappy picture we saw.
Wrinkled on the hanger.
It definitely looks a little better than that. So I will leave it at that.
Yeah, man. And look, we stand with Peach and the city nerds here. So you cannot be disparaging the cyclists here in the North End. And like, also speaking of release, right? Like, we probably get a kit release party here in the next couple weeks. I would imagine timing wise that it's the week that we get back from Coachella. So like the week of like the 12th, I think 12th we play Charlotte out there as the final game. So maybe the day after, right? If we're getting players there, because like last year at the Dillo release, there were players there, helping with that. So like, maybe it's the day after they get back. Or maybe we don't have players this year and maybe it's while they're still out there. I don't know. But that is coming, and I'm interested to see the details. Because, we're probably opening up our wallets, for better or worse here. We love getting those new kits. So anything else for you on this kit league?
No, sir.
We had more new coaches added here, E. So checking these out, 5 additional members of Austin FC's technical staff ahead of this season. Nico Bosch joins Austin FC as an assistant coach and the 5th member of Nico Esteves' coaching staff. Bosch brings 15 years of experience coaching in his native Spain. So we can go through these. Like, Bosch from Spain. Miguel Villagrasa joins as the club's high performance director, 25 years of experience, both as a high performance and fitness coach. Where do you think Miguel is from, E?
What?
Where do you think Miguel is from?
Spain.
Yeah. And then we have Eric Roqueta as strength and conditioning coach. Where do you think Eric Roqueta is from?
Spain.
Oh, no. He's coming to us from Puebla in Mexico. Gotcha. Psych, 2014 to 2019, he was with FC Barcelona. So he's also with Chivas for 3 seasons. Bayern Leverkusen's U19 team from 21 to 22. So then we have Leslie McManus joining as the club's new performance dietitian. Where do you think Leslie McManus is from?
Waxahachie.
No. Comes to us from Inter Miami. Also spent some time with FIU and the Baltimore Orioles organization. Then Erin Ross. I'll stop the shtick. She is not from Spain. Erin Ross, the club's new performance scientist, previously held sports and performance science roles with the Mets and the Yankees, as well as the University of Michigan Performance Research Lab. So we get a new assistant coach, new high performance director, new strength and conditioning coach, new performance dietitian, and a performance scientist. So I do hope that this, again, is continuing to up our, like, for lack of a better term, our investment in like analytics, not just on the pitch, but also the sports science side as well. Because I think I can speak for you as well. Like, we buy into that type of stuff here.
Absolutely. You'd be a fool not to. We're playing at the highest level of competition here for soccer in the United States, man. You got to be putting the right stuff into your body, understanding how you're reacting to that stuff, what serves you best when you go out there to play and everything like that, how to maintain muscle mass and everything when you're in the midst of a huge season. So, like, this is all pretty exciting stuff to nerds like us who are into sports science and everything like that. But wow, what a resume of names on that that entire list there. Just a lot of just like who's and everything, like even across different sports.
Yep, absolutely.
Baseball's hardly a sport, but
yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna go to that sport, Yankees, right? Like, again, it's the pinstripes, I guess. But yeah, man. So welcome to all the new staff members, and of course, we still don't know, I believe, what what the playoff format is going to be this year. We don't know the Leagues Cup format, but we did get a little bit of a leak here in terms of the U.S. Open Cup E. This was leaked, I guess, by Phoenix Rising. They're in USL. They posted a press release talking about their Open Cup this coming season. And so we have some information here. There will be 64 professional clubs, 14 from League One of USL, 10 from MLS Next Pro, 24 from the USL Championship, and then 16 MLS sides here. Some of the other notes. First round will be only amateur clubs from the Open Division facing pro clubs, right? So like 40 SC, right? Or whatever the club was that's the Burrito Shops team out there, I think in San Diego, that won a round or two last year. So that will be the first round once again. The USL teams will come in the third round, and the MLS first teams will come in the round of 32. So we know, again, this doesn't confirm that Austin FC will be in as a first team or that it will be the second team. We know that Tacoma Defiance is in. I believe that's because Seattle is taking part in the Club World Cup. So I think they are out of it. And again, 16 MLS and 10 Next Pro. It's only 26 of the 30 clubs represented. 3 Canadian teams do not play in the U.S. Open Cup, so 27 is the max. So I'm wondering who they like. Is San Diego not in this at all as an expansion team? That doesn't seem right to me. Maybe they're giving Inter Miami a break too because of being in the Club World Cup. I'm not sure. So again, we get a little bit about the format here, but no confirmation on which one of our teams or affiliates are participating in the Open Cup.
Yeah, I want to be in Leagues Cup, man. I feel like we might have. That's where I want to be. I want to be in Leagues Cup. I feel like with the new changes that have come with all of these different cups that we're trying to do, and we're looking at potentially moving the schedule of the entire regular season and trying to accommodate these different things. I want to be in Leagues Cup, eventually in Club World Cup, because that just sounds
right. Yeah,
absolutely awesome. So we'll see how this plays out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm leaning towards, if we can only have one. And I do, I like the Leagues Cup, especially the Leagues Cup format that we got the last 2 years. Like, is it ideal? No. But if we're going to play it, like, I was a fan of that, especially for us getting to play 2 Liga MX sides in our group stage both years. But because we do know about Leagues Cup is that they're going to be midweek games. We're not taking a Leagues Cup break during this season. With how much we've struggled down the stretch of the regular seasons, like, I don't know if I want us playing midweek matches, even if it's just 2, in August. Yeah. So again, those are very minor things around the fringes. Like, I'll take either one. What I do think I know I don't want to be in both. Like, I want to see us succeed in one before we have to run the full slate again.
Agreed.
So let's just talk to CJ, man. Like, this was a really fun chat that we got to have while CJ was out there the day before the Charleston match on Friday. So I guess, let's just go talk to CJ, and then maybe we can talk about some of the takeaways we had. So here's our interview with CJ Fodrey. All right, everybody. We teased it earlier in the episode. We are overjoyed to be joined by CJ Fodrey. Or look, man, CJ, you're in the North End, so we go full government names here sometimes. Calvin J. Fodrey in the North End, out there in Florida. Thanks for joining us, man. How's it going?
It's all good. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very excited to have you here. Don't want to keep you too long, so let's jump in to some of these questions. And of course, your first time here in the North End, so we want to go back a little bit of the background, where you grew up, right? San Diego area. I believe you spent some time with the LA Galaxy Academy, and then you were coached by Landon Donovan with the San Diego Loyal there in USL. Spent a season or a semester, right, at San Diego State.
Right,
Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, Pac-12 first team. So from all of your soccer escapades before you got to Austin, what's your favorite memory from coming up around the game?
Ooh. I think playing for LD was probably one of my favorites before getting drafted here.
Yeah, I mean, I imagined that might be the answer because I know, right? We've watched some interviews that you've given since you've been here in Austin, and it seems like LD was kind of like he was a formative figure in terms of the coaches you've had, the mentors you've had. Are you guys still in contact?
Not as much. I don't think so as much. I haven't really felt to like text them or anything, but
Right, right.
we've maybe after I got drafted talked a couple times, but other than that, no, nothing really.
Okay. Well, I know, look, if you can't tell already, I love to hear myself talk, so I want to make sure E gets some questions in too, so I'll let him take over here for a minute.
So we're all pretty amped up and excited about San Diego joining MLS as the 30th club here. As someone from the area, what do you think that team is going to mean to that community? Obviously, we've seen the impact here in Austin and how this club has brought this community together to be like really rallied behind this club. Do you foresee that being the same thing in San Diego? Like, what type of impact do you expect that team to have on your hometown?
Yeah, I sure hope it does because if you get the fans involved how they do here in Austin, I mean, the San Diego fan base is very big, just like Austin. So I think it'll help the team a lot to get the fans behind them. So I guess that's just on the club to be able to like involve community as much as they can, kind of like what the Loyal did in a smaller with the USL. But yeah, that would definitely be big for San Diego if they get the fans behind them.
I mean, I'm excited. I like getting them in here, expanding this league a little bit, balancing it out. So it must be super exciting for you. Absolutely.
So jumping back to me now and getting more into the Austin side of things, what everybody wants to hear. I want to talk about draft night, and I actually have a clip here, CJ, which was I do some live streaming in my day job, and so this is actually a clip of me watching you get drafted, and I just want to see your reaction to this. So let's see if we can get this shared here. Oh, no fucking way we got Fodrey. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, you fucked up, Houston. You fucked up.
I can't hear the audio, but I could.
Oh, no. Well, you could see it.
I could see the excitement. So you're just as happy as I was to get drafted here.
Yeah, so it was, I think it was a couple F-bombs in there. Very happy that we got CJ in the fold. And then what I said to close out that clip, actually, CJ, was you effed up Houston. You effed up. And look, how good did it feel to get your first career MLS assist to beat who we think is our biggest rival last season? And I'm just going to say, look, I pat myself on the back. I called it. They effed up.
Yeah, no, I think that's so far obviously my most favorite moment in Austin so far is getting that first assist in the first team on my season debut of that year. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I will always remember E and I watching that game. We were the only two people. Usually we watch with a group of friends, or of course we're at the queue. But we were watching just us two that night, and the way I screamed into Ian's face when you guys connected, you and Emmy, that's something special. Anytime we can beat those Copa Tejas rivals, we're always overjoyed for that. So then I guess, obviously, you said that was your first team debut for the club last season. Over your first two seasons, you've played with both the first and the second teams, right? Including winning MLS Next Pro Cup in 2023. You've found success at both levels, right? From game-winning assists with the first team over some rivals to like leading the second team in goals last season, right? Despite just playing, I think, right around 60% of the regular season matches. So have you developed any routines that help you mentally prepare for the various roles that you've been playing at the club?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from my family, just helping me stay present and just kind of focus on what you can control. Because like there's a lot of uncontrollables in this sport, and just kind of how I have a different kind of view of how I see everything now. It's just like if I go to the second team, okay, go perform, don't go dwell on it and whatever. So like I feel like I did a pretty good job last year. I played the first half of the season with the first team, and then obviously a DP winger comes in or whatever. You come back to the second team, there's two options I could have done, is either just kind of be like whatever and be whatever, and then obviously you come in and try and get the team to playoffs. That was my goal. Fell short. I think an injury kind of did not help with that. So
well, hey man, you guys had a pretty big hill to climb, when you kind of made that transition in the middle of the year and you got so close. You sucked us in. A bunch of other Austin FC fans were following along really closely there, especially on decision day, which was, of course, just kind of it was a roller coaster ride that day out there at the pitch. And that roommate connection with Jimmy was flourishing. Are you guys still living together?
What's that?
Are you guys still living together, you and Jimmy?
No, he actually just moved out. I got Damien and Aaron living upstairs, so I got the goalkeepers living upstairs right now.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I got those guys.
All right, E. I'm talking too much here. So, what do you got,
man? This is not part of my question, but I just want to mention and say that one thing that I felt like I brought up when you were on that tear for Austin FC2 at the end of the last season was the fact that you were able to adapt from having some of that disappointment where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not up here with the first team. I'm going to go down here and do my job. And you did it so well. So I was super impressed with that. So whatever you're doing right now, it's definitely working, man. And I applaud you for that because like that's a big growth step and that's a lot of maturity. So I salute you on that one. So third year in ATX here. Want to know what you like about the city, what you like to do. So what's like a typical off day for you and where's some of your favorite places to go visit?
Off day. I mean, when it's not super cold right now, I would say we like going to the lakes a lot. We go over by we do the Barn Springs a lot too. We've been there a lot of times.
Okay.
What else do we like? I mean, the off days right now, like for preseason, we're always pretty tired. So we get home and then we like watching football. So we like watching NFL right now. So unfortunately, the Chargers and the Niners are out. So my teams are out. But that's kind of what we do. We just get a lot. Like we brought some of the draft picks over and we always watch football. We got some of the young first team guys kind of just chill it because there's not a lot you can really be doing trying to keep yourself fit and ready for the next day. So
Right. Especially during training camp, right? Where you guys are really getting after it. Training's a little bit longer this time of year rather than, middle of the season. So not just like off day stuff for you, going back to San Diego FC coming into the league, we have a large number of fans that we already know are traveling out there for that match at the end of May. I'm sure you've got friends and family coming out to that one as well, but if you could give some of the traveling Austin fans some advice, like what are some things that you think they should do when they have a couple days in San Diego?
Oh, if you got a couple days, hopefully the weather's nice. You got to go to the beaches. I would say La Jolla, Point Loma, Coronado.
Okay.
And then if you are in Coronado, like that's kind of where I grew up most of my life. Moved around obviously a little bit, but if you guys like California burritos, that's like kind of my thing over there. Go to IB, Don Pancho's, get that with like an horchata or something, and then you'll be all set.
All right.
Yeah, see, now we're getting those are some deep cuts there. All right. This is what I want to know.
I'm trying to hook you guys up. But yeah, definitely some Mexican food down there. I mean, that's kind of what's best over there. I don't know if you had a couple days. I mean, we got a zoo over there. I don't know if you guys are into that or not, but I think the beach you guys have to go see. We don't have that here, so
yeah.
Well, we do. It's just it doesn't measure up to San Diego.
Subpar beaches for sure. So we had a great time at open training. It was a little cold, but was super excited to be there. It was a blast. And like one of the first things we noticed immediately was that I noticed and Zach as well was you put on some size, you put on some muscle, you drop Svatok to the ground, you knock Damien over. So like, what was something that you were focusing on this last offseason or into this offseason where it was like, I got to get my strength up, the level of physicality at the MLS level is a bit higher. So what were some things that you were really working on?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know I was going to be playing the 9. I wish I kind of knew that a little bit more. Maybe I would have put on some more even, but definitely hit the gym more. It's just more, you can do that more in the off season. You can't really do it as much during the season, but a lot of the stuff I actually worked on was just kind of like sprint work. I got a weird running form, so I'm trying to fix that a little bit. And I worked with like a lot of strength and conditioning coaches that are pretty well known in San Diego and Arizona. So I've been doing a little bit of that stuff. So I invested in myself a little bit more this off season.
Good deal. It's paying dividends already. It was funny watching you and Damien go at it like that after you put him
down. Yeah. We all smiled after, but he gave me a little,
we saw a chicken wing.
We saw the chicken wing.
Yeah.
So, talking about these first, like, I guess, week and a half of training that you've been through since you guys reported, we went through our first change as a club at head coach right now? So now that you've got about 10 days of training in, we've got one preseason match, albeit a shortened one, under our belt. What are some things that Coach Estevez has brought to training that you've enjoyed, or something that he's brought that you found challenging? And right, it's not just Coach Estevez, but everybody but Davey, it seems like on the staff is mostly new. So what have you liked? What's been an extra challenge?
I've liked everything from all the new staff. I mean, that's everyone's kind of Spanish, so I got to keep working on my Spanish, but they do speak English pretty well. But I would say the big challenge for me, I think coming into preseason was kind of the position change. I got more of a frame maybe to play for the 9, but that's kind of just been my challenge. He's kind of challenged me with, but I feel like I've done pretty well so far. So, but yeah, for him coaching wise, it's been pretty simple. I mean, it's only been 10 days, so we can't really see much. We tried a little bit of different things in the first preseason game, but so far I like it. That's all I can say.
Nice. Well, I mean, you talking too about, right, playing more centrally. Coach Estevez in the media availability before open training said that you have a really good profile to be more central, to be more of that like target type of player. Have you played in a central role prior to this preseason? Like, or is this more of an unknown for you?
Maybe in a 2-striker system, because that way one striker that's kind of like we can be either one's checking in, I'm running in behind, or vice versa. So I'd say I would work best with probably a 2-striker system.
Okay.
Because I could be the one stretching the line, and then the other 9 could be checking in deep. So that's something we've tried, but I'd say other than that, I've never really been like the single 9, been up there the target guy. So, but it's good. I like to be versatile.
Yeah, I mean,
is that something you're excited about? Oh, sorry, Zach.
No, go ahead, E. Go ahead.
Is that something you're excited about? Okay.
Yeah, very excited. I mean, whatever gets me on the field, I'm there for it, so
amen,
I'll accept the challenge.
That's what I was trying to get at you, man. That's anything we can do to get more minutes, right?
Exactly.
And again, like we saw you, that target type of player, it feels like the arrivals in the box at the next pro level, especially in that second half of last season, were just off the charts, man. So we're excited to see that hopefully translate to the pitch this season. There's last question here before we close it out with just a couple rapid fire questions. We saw you get pranked by the club and their EAFC pro Diogo, right? So we're gonna bring we gotta be a little selfish. We gotta interject ourselves into the interview a little bit.
Go for it.
E and I play 2-on-2 online seasons fairly frequently. So if you had to choose one of your teammates to take us on 2-on-2, who would it be?
It's gotta be Jimmy. Me and Jimmy.
Okay. So you got that roommate connection with FIFA too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anytime y'all want to run it, just
Jimmy likes playing.
Man.
When we were living together, I could hear him yelling from upstairs. So he likes playing. So yeah, we could take you guys on if you guys actually want to do that.
Yeah, hey man, anytime you guys want to run it, we're here for it, bro.
Yeah, let's get that in. That'd be fun.
All right. Just a few rapid fire questions here to close it out. I'll start here. CJ, who's your favorite player?
Growing up, when I was really young, it's always been Messi. But I think these last few years, I really liked watching Leroy Sané at Man City.
Okay.
He was one of my favorite players, kind of being like in the teenage years. And then I guess now I got to find some 9, so I guess Holland or something to start watching more.
Sure.
Yeah. So I gotta...
Okay, so I'm gonna coming up with one on the fly here. Since Messi was your guy growing up, were you or any of the other players disappointed that Miami was not on the schedule this year?
Yeah, that's like one of the first 2 things I looked at on the schedule was did we get Miami and when am I going to San Diego to see my family?
Yeah,
so
sure.
like those are the first 2 things I kind of looked at. Like, oh, we didn't get Miami, no worries. At least I know for sure I'm gonna be going back home to play. Yeah. So yeah, I think anyone would be disappointed.
Gonna have to get that all-star nod so you can see Messi at the Q
in the play against him at
Q2. All right, favorite city to play a road match in?
I mean, I can't say San Diego yet, huh? I guess
I
LA.
haven't been there yet.
LA, yeah. LA.
There we go.
Nice. Okay, so we're still waiting on that first goal with the first team that's coming this season. So favorite goal you've scored with the second team so far?
Probably just the first one, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, last year they were all pretty similar. It was just me making it back post and just nodding something from either Jimmy or like the right back. So Yeah, I would just say probably my first goal in the first season.
Okay, nice.
And then, yeah, I didn't get a goal in that final. I think it was like kind of as an own goal,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
force the own goal though. I'll give you
Yeah.
credit for that one, my man.
I don't get anything
Yeah.
for it. It's all good.
All right, this is maybe the most important question, and E would tell you that there is a right answer, but I'll let him ask it.
Jordan or LeBron? It's customary here. We gotta know who's aligned to what.
I'm probably a LeBron, but you guys are probably gonna say MJ, aren't you guys?
No, we are a LeBron
no.
podcast.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm on LeBron.
Sensible older men here.
Yeah, I feel like especially the next generation is not going to be saying MJ. I never got to see MJ play, so it's like,
Yeah,
I can't.
he didn't miss much.
Okay. Look, I'm a LeBron guy, but
The MJ documentary was very good though, but I think the LeBron one's going to be even better.
Crazy.
Yeah, his longevity, what is people saying? Like they're saying, oh, he went to 5 finals or whatever it was and won 4 or whatever, or he won all the finals he won. Yeah. But it's like, what happened the other years? He didn't make it to the finals the year. Why is that an argument that he won more finals? He didn't make it to as many.
Look, CJ, if you weren't E's favorite player already, I think you might be now. You might be. Okay, he loves him some Biru, but like I don't know, man.
Biru's funny. Hey, he's pretty. Yeah, Biru's funny.
Biru's good. Yeah, we like that.
He's learning his English.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think that's all we got for you today. We really appreciate the time. You guys are taking on Charleston in the second preseason match tomorrow, so good luck there. And of course, good luck the rest of the way this season. We will be cheering for you guys every time. And look, hey, that first goal, make it in the north end here at Q2.
I got you. Yeah. I got you guys.
All right, CJ, anything else you want to add for all the fans out there before we let you go?
My dad watches all your guys' podcasts, but all you guys. So he wanted me to say, when I told him I was doing this, he was like, oh, make sure to shout me out. So
nice. Well, shout out Pop. Shout out
you guys and the other podcasts or whatever. Yeah. He likes that stuff.
Well, CJ, we really appreciate
talk however you want about me. Don't make that so you have to talk nice. Like talk however you
okay. Well, we'll hold you to that, brother. Yeah. Well, we really appreciate it once again, CJ. Everybody, Calvin, Jay, Fodrey, looking forward to a big season. Appreciate you stopping by the North End.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Well, thanks once again to CJ Fodrey, man. Like that was really, really cool. Just like another name on the list of awesome guests that we have had in the North End. And shout out to the club for making CJ available to us as well. Now, E, I do think like, I feel like I wouldn't be being me if I didn't go back and comb through the rhetoric that we heard from CJ, right? Because the guys like aren't, they're not going to give us a ton of the ins and outs and stuff. But like when he hinted at himself, like kind of it came off to me like he's saying he's been exclusively playing at the 9 in these early trainings. When you asked him about his, his offseason regimen and like how we kind of noticed that he looked a little bit physically bigger and stronger at open training. So I thought that was interesting from the first team CJ point of view. But then it also got me thinking, like, if we're making these formational and tactical changes at the first team level, will that trickle down to the second team? Because I do get the feeling that he's going to be with the first team for the majority of the season. But of course, adding more guys in the attacking half over the next month or so could, present more second team minutes for CJ. And even if he's with the first team for the full season, like anytime he would pick up a potential knock, I would imagine we'll get some, ramp up minutes at the second team level. Or if we have a international break for the first team and the second team is playing, like why not get him some minutes down there? So again, that's just my speculation, but I thought it was notable that he said, I'm playing at the 9. And then thinking about will that translate down or trickle down rather to the second team, or two thoughts that I had kind of listening to that back there.
Trickling down to the second team, I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I think that is something that Roto wants to establish because he mentioned earlier, this was the deep Roto cut, a pipeline to push these players through and everything like that. So I do think it makes sense to have some continuity in how these guys are going to be playing at the next pro level if you're eventually looking to get them up to MLS. There's a lot of opportunity here for CJ. If you look at the roster construction right now, after Fafa falls through and everything, and we brought these other players in from around the world, there's still backup 9 minutes, especially if we're going to be playing a 2-striker format, that he's going to be able to get his nose into. That I very much believe that. And then also we're going to have, again, unless someone else comes in that attacking half, some left wing opportunities, which has been the position we've seen him at the most his tenure here in Austin. So I'm very excited for CJ. Very happy we had him on. I hope he's a man of his word in regard to that FIFA game, and we'll get that in.
Yeah, get that in against him and Jimmy, and a man of his word. First goal in the North End. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
I also thought it is notable that he said he's got, no longer roommates with Jimmy, but that he's got Damian Las and Aaron Cervantes living with him right now. So, and again, he said right now. So, I'm coming through that just like, well, he didn't commit that these guys are here long term. So, maybe Damian's going back out again. I think we know that by this time next week after Louisville is here. And also Aaron Cervantes still here, but not under contract with the second team, which I thought was a little bit interesting, which I think is a pretty good segue here into last business day.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
Well, last business day here on episode 197, and we've got some stuff to talk about here. First, we have a new signing. So last week on Monday, Austin FC2 announced the signing of midfielder Jorge Alastue. And Alastue he's 21 years old, comes on a 2-year deal through the 2026 season with a club option for 2027. He is a native of Spain. Alastue began his youth career in his hometown club's academy, Real Zaragoza, but then moved to La Masia, Barcelona's academy in 2016. Represented Barcelona at the U16, 18, and 19 levels, including 1 assist and 3 appearances in the UEFA Youth League for the U19 side. Then joined the U19 team of Napoli for the 22 and 23 season. In his 1 year in Italy, 3 goals, 5 assists in 29 matches. Returned to Spain last year, played at the senior level with CD Teruel. Need Landon to help me with that Spanish pronunciation there. In the Spanish 3rd division, had 27 appearances in that 3rd division at the senior level last season. Also, over the last few months, was with Lodz in Poland, making 5 appearances for the club's first team and 5 for its second team between August of last year and this month. So Alastue, the newest member of Austin FC2, and the club went ahead right after that and gave us not only the preseason schedule, but the initial roster here, So the preseason schedule, which got started yesterday against San Antonio City SC. We have 7 games here in the preseason, so matching the first team schedule in terms of the total number of games. You see Houston Christian University, UIW, Huntsville City, Dynados there out in Houston. That is the lone road match in the preseason. Then Texoma FC will close out the slate with the opponent on February 19th being TBA. That first game that happened yesterday, just an 8-0 win for FC To here. I believe we know that there were goals from both Vlad and Peter Grogan, which makes me think, again, those guys could have played separately, but maybe they are running a 4-4-2 look here with those 2 guys up top. I also would imagine we have academy guys, because if we look, or we had academy guys there yesterday, we look at the roster, and we can actually just go over to our roster spreadsheets here at thenorthendpodcast.com, because we have this now updated thanks to the club giving us that roster. We know the guys who are under contract, so this is not enough players to really play a full preseason. I mean, you could, just nobody is subbing, and that's not how preseason works. So I imagine we get academy guys, right? All of those amateur agreements from last season for like a Gavin Wolf, Mason Miller, Joe Arena, right? I imagine some of those guys, a Luke Spadafora, were out there. Joe Arena probably was not. Congrats to Joa, committed to the University of Michigan over the weekend. So that will be another Austin FC Academy product going to play in the NCAA. And again, us retaining, I believe, his homegrown rights through his time there with the Wolverines. So maybe Joe Arena will be a super draft pick in the coming seasons. But again, so that's, I imagine some of those Academy guys helped them out there, filled out the rotation in the 8-0 victory over San Antonio City FC. So again, I don't have too much else to add on that game since not open to the public, but I do have comments on this roster. And I think we got to say some farewells here.
Yeah, we do. There's definitely been plenty of crumbs regarding that.
Yeah, well, we got official news that Sal Mazzuffero signed with Atlanta United too. So Sal ends his Austin FC tenure after being a third-round pick 2 seasons ago, MLS Next Pro champion in 2023, now on with Atlanta United too. But other departures here, and this is the one that, look, we love all these guys, but you and I have a special affinity for Bobasi Birawanga. We love the way the kid plays. We liked having him around. No longer on the roster. He was on loan from MFK Vyskov. So there's potential that we could get him back either by purchasing him or doing another loan. But I don't know, man. 2 years here on loan, it feels like maybe he's going to be off to bigger and better, I think, hopefully for him. But I will be sad to not, if we don't get to see Bobo anymore. He might have been my favorite Austin FC 2 player outside of, like CJ and the first team guys.
Yeah, he's on a short list for me. Shout out to Bobo for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think he's a good player. I think he's solid. I think he's going to have some opportunity. So if it's not here, then I just wish him the absolute best wherever he may end up.
Brian Ariano also not here. That was kind of rumored in the fall when I think he posted on his Instagram a picture of the skyline and saying that he was going to miss the city. So he is no longer on the roster. Be interesting to see where he pops up. Sheikh Touré is gone. We knew he had no options left on his contract, so he is not currently on the roster. I imagine he is also gone, again, with just his age profile and what Roto has said about this team. I believe Touré was 24 this coming season. And then Aaron Cervantes is gone. And we know from talking to CJ a few minutes ago that Aaron is still here in town, but not under contract. We know that there is a trialist keeper with the second team right now. So maybe Aaron is in there as well, getting in some practices if he's still here in town. But those are just some of the names. And again, all the amateur agreements expired. So we will get some of those, I imagine, headed into the season as well. But we've got just kind of the bare bones here. Here's the core of Austin FC 2 headed into the 2025 season. Grogan, Vlad, and Anthony Garcia up top. Diego Abarca, whose option was triggered, and that was a 2-year option. So we had him under contract, Diego Abarca, that is, mid-season last year. There was an option for 2025 and 2026 as a package, and then we've got another one of those for 27 and 28 together from Abarca. So we know he is now under contract through 2026. And then Anthony Deanda had his option for 2025 triggered as well. He still has an option for 2026. So that midfield, Abarca, Irvin Torres, and Jorge Alastue. And then defenders, Anthony Deanda, Ruben Bonachera, Antonio Gomez, and Nico Van Ryn, and Marcus Allstrip, the lone goalkeeper under contract here. So a lengthy last business day here compared to the other off-season ones, but we're kind of off and running here with the second team.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to look at this roster right now. And what we only have Deanda and Torres from the championship winning team.
Yeah, and I think both of those guys both Deanda and Torres were on amateur agreements that season.
Yeah, Torres, he's 15.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to see this amount of turnover here. Really sad to be losing Sal as well. I don't want that to get lost in my love for Bobo, but
right.
Yeah, man, I think this is just something we're going to have to get used to with this next pro club here, where it's going to be a lot of turnover. You're going to see guys heading back to their original clubs if they were here on loan, not getting extended, making movements and everything like that. So we'll see how this plays out, how we're going to fill the rest of this roster, not and everything like that. But I'm I'm excited for these guys. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully a more competitive season, right? Because like we kind of talked about a little bit with CJ there, it was such an uphill climb at the end of the year to try to make it into the postseason. So hopefully a little bit more consistency here, right? Because a lot of these guys are holdovers from last season. Of course, we've added Vlad and we've added Alice Touye here this week, but hopefully that consistency at the beginning of the season, right? You think about the 4-0 match in the Open Cup where we're playing multiple amateur agreement academy guys in that match, So we'll see. Again, season getting underway here. Preseason match 1 of 7 down for the second team and closing out episode 197 with an academy update. Again, shout out to Joe Arena for his collegiate commitment to Michigan. And then we've got a trio of scores from this weekend, all against Houston Rangers. The U13s win 4-1. So that is a 12-2 aggregate, I believe, over their last 2 matches. The U14s win 3-1. Marcelo scores a header. Toby scores from inside the box. And then Bryce got a header of his own for the 3rd goal. And the U15s with a 3-1 victory. So a dominant weekend for the academy. We love to see it. Keep it up, boys.
Congrats, boys. Keep that thing rolling.
Anything else for you here, E, before we shut it down?
No, sir. Good one.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on another episode of the North End podcast. Thanks again to CJ Fodrey for stopping by the North End. And we'll be back next Sunday recapping the week that was in the Austin FC universe. And of course, if we get any green smoke or any other emergency live stream worthy news this week, you will see one of those live streams pop up. But if not, we will see you back here next Sunday for that next episode of the North End podcast. Enjoy your week, everybody. We'll do the same, and we'll see you back here next week. Till then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.